Welcome to It's Your Business, a program designed to highlight our local small businesses and community partners. I'm your host, Veronica Douglas. National Foster Care Month is a time to acknowledge foster parents and individuals in the community who help children and youth in foster find permanent homes. Forever Families Foster Care and Adoption provides safe and loving homes for vulnerable children who need them for a season or forever. Joining us today is Dewan Clayborn, Chief Marketing Officer. Good morning, Dewan.
Good morning, Veronica. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on and talking about something that is really important to our community. So let's start. Tell me a little bit about Forever Families Foster and Adoption.
So Forever Families, oh my gosh, it's been around since 2007. It was founded by Dr. Sophia Fields. She couldn't join us today, but she has an amazing story. She actually fostered over 100 kids. She has one biological son and she adopted 6. So what she has done is she found out a way to streamline the process. So with all the negative connotations that it takes 4 to 5 years, she has a process where we actually hold their hands and walk them through the process so it's seamless.
And where are you guys located?
We're in Fresno, Texas, so a little past Missouri City, right down Highway 6. Easy to get downtown, the 288, but we do foster and adoption all throughout Texas, so it's a great location for us.
And how long have you guys been in existence?
Since 2007, but she's been doing fostering for around 24 years. So her and her husband started, like 24 years ago, fostering their 100 kids, and then they decided to open their agency. So she actually has one, and he has one as well.
Oh, wow. So tell us a little bit about the mission of your organization.
So we're a little different than most foster care agencies because we do both. We do foster and adoptions. A lot of agencies, they like to focus on one or the other. Mm-hmm. So we did foster care for a majority of the 8 years, but then the last couple years we decided to do adoption. So we do foster care and adoption. We focus with foster and adopted through CPS, Child Protective Services. So these are children that have been removed from a situation, maybe it was a domestic situation or the parents were on drugs, abuse, and we like to definitely try to find a fix and a loving home for them first.
So to stop a moment and talk a little bit about fostering and adoption, since we know that they're two different things. Foster care, it sounds like it's something that's temporary. Is that correct?
Right. It is. Foster care is temporary, and we actually advocate for people to foster before adopting because there is a difference. It's a difference in lifestyle. It's an adjustment for a family. So we tell people to foster first. Usually people foster for about 1.5 years, 2 years, with the goal is always to end up adopting within. That's permanent, and those parental rights are being turned over to the new adopted parent.
And talking about the goals of fostering, is one of the goals ultimately to maybe return those children back to the family, the biological family, or is the goal to adopt them to another family?
The goal, in a perfect world, they'll go back to their biological parents, but once a child is fostered by a family, we don't want to, have them with so many different mood swings. So we would like that foster parent to go ahead and adopt that child and continue to keep them in a nice, nourishing environment because the reason that child is fostered in the first place because there were some type of issues.
So the children that you receive, they are ready to be adopted at some point in time.
Yes.
Should someone assume if they come through your organization that the child will go back to the biological family, or is it safe to assume, hey, I have a chance here to adopt a special child?
Right. So typically if a child is adopted and the biological parents want to regain the rights, the biological parents have to actually pay for an attorney, which is very expensive, and then they have to go to court. Now, a lot of times, attorneys won't even take that case, and it's a lot of times not even in their favor. So once you adopt and those parental rights are transferred to the new adoptive parents, it's very, very hard for that biological parent to come back and get those rights turned back over to them. Because think about it, this child has, a parent, a loved one now that's adopted them, and think about how much trauma trauma that would be even for the family that did adopt and that invested in that child, to now a biological parent 10 years down the road is coming and taking that child back. That's kind of harsh.
So just for purposes of the conversation that we're having right now, just in the general Houston area, how many children are in foster care right now?
Oh my gosh, in Houston there are over like 5,000. In Texas has around 28,000. Yeah, in the U.S., there's 438,000 kids in a foster care system.
So, what can we do? What can our viewers do to help? How can someone get involved with fostering? Is there a process that takes place, a background check?
Yes, oh yes. We do, well, the first step is, reach out to an agency, call Forever Families. Our number is 713-661-2626. We like to educate the family first on fostering versus adoption, what those things look like. And then, we do an extensive background check. We do a home study. The background check, I can tell you who your brother, sister, aunt, and uncle is. So there are a lot of pre-screening that we do before a family is even approved to even foster or adopt. We actually do a 72-hour training where we teach the parents CPR. We go through all the different emotions that a foster child could have from being in different environments. He's going to be a little resistant. He's going to be a little held off. And a lot of times you have to train those parents to understand it's not your fault. You're not a horrible parent. Just know that that child has probably been to 3 or 4 or 5 different foster families. So he doesn't think this is permanent, And so really putting yourself in that child's shoes and understanding them is really what parents need to do in order to be successful foster parents.
And you mentioned that children sometimes go to 2 or 3 foster homes. What causes that?
There are a lot of reasons. Sometimes, kids act out. Just think about it. I mean, you have a son yourself. When he wants attention, sometimes he might act out. So act out, the kid, there might be issues with the biological kids and the adopted kid. That's something to consider. If you have kids, you need to talk to your biological kid about someone else or a potential foster kid coming into your house to help them understand the overall goal and how you're blessing someone else so you all can work together. So there are numerous of reasons, why people or the foster adopted kids go from house to house, but we like to just focus on kinship. So the interesting thing about kinship is we like to find a family member of that foster kid that's in CPS to say, hey, would you like to take on the role and responsibility of fostering your nephew, your grandson? That way we love to keep everything in the family before we intervene and bring in outside families.
And how successful is that? Is that typically an option where the child can go to another family member?
Yes, it's actually very successful. That's our first step that we do. We look at different family members. Whenever a child is up for foster or CPS is telling us, hey, we really want to help this child, find a loving place, they'll reach out to a child placement agency like us. So we do our research and see, does that child have any family members that are in home in close proximity? We try not to ship children to different states. We want to keep them in their environment, again, because all these different changes, that helps and that affects the child in a certain type of way internally that you might not see until years down the road.
And when that happens, are you still monitoring what's going on, the activities in the household, now the child is placed with a family member?
Yes, so we still do monthly check-ins. So we have case managers that go out and visit the houses once a month. Also with CPS, Child Protective Services, they also go out and visit once a month just to make sure the child is doing well, he's in a great environment, and he's enjoying his stay with his new foster or adoptive parents.
And what's the average age of some of these children that you're talking about?
I would say the average age is 8 to 11. Now granted, with so many kids, they're all ages, but the average age is around 8 years old to 11.
And I wonder why that is. Can you elaborate a little bit on why we see the older children in foster homes and not so much the younger ones, like the newborns or under 5 years old?
Yeah, so the newborns and the 5 years old, those are usually the quickest ones to go, the newborns, because you think about it, when you foster and adopt, you want your kind of own child, your own experience, not someone that's a little older, especially a teenager that is kind of set in his ways. So a lot of times people like to get them at an early infant age. So those newborns definitely go very, very quick.
So there's a need for people to foster children above the age of 8. And with that being said, to foster children, obviously there's expenses there. Is there anything that's provided to supplement my income should I decide to foster a child? Are there programs available, subsidies?
Yes. So the state actually does a really good job of providing benefits for foster and adoptive parents. Now, the average income for foster care is $400 a month per family. Now, depending on which agency you go through, they can add on additional benefits or more money. So that's something that we do. We like to give our families a little bit more than that, so around $600 a month, just to support them. And that's a way that we target more families to want to come through us and come through our adoption agency, because we provide a lot better benefits than other agencies. Another thing is Medicaid. They get free Medicaid, so that's definitely is helpful for the family. And once they grow up, they get free tuition. Any school in Texas, yes, any school in Texas, all the way up to a doctorate.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a blessing. But one thing we're really focusing on, what I'm implementing, is a Strive for Success Academy, because even with free tuition, 2.5% of foster kids actually graduate from a 4-year institution.
Wow.
Yeah, the numbers are detrimental. So what we're doing at Forever Family is we're partnering with HCC and Texas State Technical College, and we're having educational days where we really invest in the foster kids and talk to them about the application process, how to apply for a grant. And then we know college isn't for everyone, so then we have a day with Texas State Technical College to talk about vocational and trades. They have a really good program there. It's only 2 years, and they can come out making 6 figures. So really giving them the knowledge and the education to set them up for success.
So once the child is placed in a foster home, what kind of counseling do you guys provide for the family as a whole?
Yes, we have therapists, we have psychologicals, psychiatrists, any type of resource they need, the family would just reach out to us, and we have a lot of these people on hand.
So if we foster a child, you're not kind of throwing that out there on an island by yourself. There is assistance there. What are some of the requirements? Are there income requirements in order to foster a child? Do I have to be married? Do I have to live on a certain side of town?
Great question, great question. There aren't income requirements. You do, like I said earlier, have to pass the background check. You have to be older than 25. So families under 25, they cannot adopt. And whoever is in the household, everybody has to pass those background checks. So again, the background checks are very, very thorough. So if there's anything where anybody in the house has had a case against them with CPS, sometimes we won't allow that, because the last thing we want to do is place a child back in a traumatic situation. So typically the age range of families that adopt with us are the 35 to 40 range.
So let's take a quick break, and when we come back from the break, I want to talk about adoption, which is the other service that you provide at Forever Families.
Yes, sounds good.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, we're going to continue our conversation. We're going to talk about adoption services through Forever Families.
HCC. So many locations. So little tuition. Register today at hccs.edu/now.
I've seen people's lives change just by attending a class at HCC.
Some of them might not have the financial means to go to a 4-year university. That doesn't make them any less quote-unquote smart than the kids who go to a 4-year school.
HCC is easy to get to. It's easy to apply and easy to become a part of.
It gave me so much confidence.
Once you finish your 2 years there, you can transition into a four-year university or go into the workforce.
It's affordable, it's accessible, it changes lives.
We have academic programs that help students get from high school into a university. And the data is very clear that students that take the path of a community college finish in far higher numbers than students that start straight into a university experience. Our students can achieve a baccalaureate degree in multiple fields from the universities in the area without ever leaving Houston Community College.
Welcome back. We're going to continue our conversation with Dewan Clayborn, and we're talking about something very serious, and I think more people really need to open their heart. Now, we ended our conversation talking about fostering. Tell us a little bit about adoption. How is that different from fostering?
So adoption is when we like to make adoptions very, very large. It's a great monumental moment for the family and the child. And so this is the case when the parental rights are actually transferred over to the new adoptive parent. So we go to the courthouse, we have a consummation, we have attorneys there, we try to involve a lot of press, take a lot of pictures, but it's definitely a great day in any city, any county, to the fact where they have, National Adoption Day, where sometimes a court would do over 50 different adoptions, but that means that that child is officially part of your family because now this new family has the parental rights.
So I guess when you say officially part of your family, you mean the biological family cannot come back to take the child?
They can, but it's very, 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 very difficult. They will need to get their own attorney, and a lot of times attorneys know that depending on the situation why the child was taken away, it's going to really be hard in court to justify why that judge should take away the rights from an adoptive parent that shows that they're increasing and bringing value to that adopted kid and put them back in the hands of a biological parent when those parental rights were removed. So it can happen, nothing is ever 100%, but very, very, very difficult.
So when individuals and families come to you and they want to adopt, do they receive a subsidy? Does that adopted child then get the same free education as a foster child would?
Right, so yes, so they, the benefits are very, very similar to fostering as far as, around the $400, that's general a month that they receive, the Medicaid, and yes, definitely the free tuition. Once that child goes into the system, that we call it, so through CPS, they definitely get all the benefits of the state. Now, if you have a private adoption, that child does not go through the system or through Child Protective Services, then they do not receive all those benefits. So there's a difference between private adoption and open adoption.
Okay. And so what about the post-adoption counseling? How long does that take place with your agency?
72 hours. So we, again, like to go through all the different emotions. We actually create a scramble book for that child, so that he can remember, you want to know their childhood, you want to know their culture. Sometimes it's families that adopt outside of their ethnicity. So they need to understand that child and help the child understand themselves as well. That will help them come along the process and make a smooth transition into the new family.
So tell us a little bit about the demeanor of the ideal adoptive or foster parent. What type of demeanor does that person have to have? And what kind of time do they have to have? Is there more time, do you feel, that needs to be dedicated to a child that's been in foster care that's looking to get adopted? Or how can they transition smoothly?
I would say first with anything, pray and do your research. Definitely do your research, but yes, realize that your time is not your time anymore. Sort of like when anyone else has a kid, your whole shift and your whole purpose turns to providing a better experience for your son, your daughter. So just realizing that, Your routines might change a little bit. You do have a new kid, and yes, he definitely needs that attention. He or she needs that attention because they've been in situations where they don't receive a lot of attention. So we want someone that's stable, that's loving, open to, realizing the different mood changes and mood shifts of a child, someone committed and really invested in seeing and changing the life of a young kid that never had opportunity.
And what type of families do you guys see that are interested in fostering? Is it normally single individuals, or is it people that cannot have children, or people that just want to add to their family?
Yeah, interesting, all of the above. So a lot of times people who can't have children, definitely, the LGBT community definitely is involved in adopting as well. Actually, a lot of times with the kinship piece, grandparents, grandfathers, because they're already taking care of their grandkids. So what we do is I do an educational piece where I talk to them about, get these parental rights taken under you so that you can at least receive some benefits for the good deeds that you're doing. So all types, all sizes of families come to us interested in adoption.
So, of course, with everything comes challenges. So, what kind of challenges are you seeing just in the system as a whole, and also with some of the families that are taking on the children? Are there challenges with the adjustment?
Yes, with the system, it's always kind of a challenge because just find a place for these kids, showing them love. Last year, there were over 12,000 kids waiting to be fostered and adopted in Texas. That means they didn't have a Thanksgiving, they didn't have a Christmas. So what we do at Forever Families, in December, we do a big annual toy drive, an angel tree, where we give over 400 or 500 toys to these kids. We take them out to its event center, let them play a lot of games. So just really having the resources to take care of these kids and show them that they're loved even while they're at group homes and not physically at a foster or adopted home. I think that's a challenge. I think further education is definitely a challenge. I was reading an article, it says that 50% of the homeless people have went or were part of the foster care system at one point or another. Yes, 50%. So these kids are basically aging out of the system. The incarceration rate goes up, so they're being incarcerated. They're becoming homeless. Teen pregnancy for females is definitely high. So really, the issue is just bringing awareness and exposure to different families that might be interested in realizing the negative connotations about it takes $50,000 or it takes 5 years to finally adopt or foster. It doesn't take all that. Come to Forever Families, and our extended time is 30 to 45 days.
And I looked at your Facebook page. You guys are very active. Tell me a little bit about some of the success stories that you guys have had with adopting and fostering children.
Good. So we actually, last year, we did over 200 fostering adoptions. So that was one of our record-breaking years. And then kind of like the toy drive, we do back-to-school drives where we donate a lot of backpacks, toys, take them food. We like to get involved and go out and spend time with them. We read to the foster and adopted kids. We're working on getting more engaged with them so that we can develop a relationship with the kids before we actually put them with that foster or adoptive parent. So we're trying to start engaging more with the kids.
And the financial commitment from start to finish is there's no requirements as far as my income level. I don't have to be married. If I want to foster and adopt, what am I looking at out of pocket?
So it depends. We have different situations. Sometimes it can actually be free and the attorney will take on the fees. Other times you can look at around $1,200 max, to foster or adopt. But each situation is different. It actually depends on the attorney that we partner with. Sometimes the attorney knows the family's financial situation and they'll go ahead and they'll take care of that cost. And then other times, $1,200 isn't a lot for a family. They're more so excited about getting their new loved one, and that's an easy cost for them as well.
So it sounds like you guys have a turnkey operation where if I have in my heart that I want to adopt or foster a child, and I come to you and you have attorneys and counselors on site,
Yes.
I don't need to look anywhere else.
You don't need to look anywhere else. We're a one-stop shop. Again, our founder, Dr. Sophia Fields, has done this for over 20 plus years and fostered over 100 kids. So she has the system down. We have amazing checklists and case managers that are more than happy to meet anyone's foster or adoptive needs.
So what about our viewers or that have knowledge about a child that's being neglected? Where is that reported to? Is that something that's anonymous?
Actually, they should reach out to CPS, Child Protective Services. So that's typically the first step, because what Child Protective Services, what they do is they then begin their own investigation where they'll go out and visit the kid. They'll go and visit the parent. You know, they'll start looking into the situation and see, is this a good living environment for the kid, or if the kid needs to be removed. So anytime that you get a sense, or a lot of times it happens with schools, Teachers notice kids are falling asleep during class or come to school with a lot of different bruises on them. They'll reach out to CPS, the investigation piece starts, and once CPS finds out that everything is accurate, they will remove that child from that traumatic situation and then partner with child placement agencies like us to try to find a better fix for that individual.
Do you know if that's something that can be done anonymously? Because sometimes we know, we see things and we want to say something, but we're afraid of, the ramifications of doing so.
Right.
For instance, if it's a family member, can that be done anonymously if I know that there's something like that happening in my family?
Yes. CPS, they have amazing discretion. And so, yes, just let them know that it's anonymous. And a lot of times, they won't mention where this information came from. They just strictly go out there to do their investigation, their research. People ask, but again, they normally 9 times out of 10 don't let them know where that lead came from.
And Forever Families is a nonprofit, so you rely a lot on donations.
Yes, definitely donations. We have different events that we do, so we love for people to sponsor our events. And a way that they can go to that is they can go to our website. It's www.forfam.org. They can visit our website. We got a big, large donation button, and all amounts definitely are greatly appreciated.
What other activities do you guys do to bring more awareness to the children that are needing homes?
So we do educational lunch and learns. And thank you for speaking at one of our lunch and learns, where we highlight significant figures in the community that were foster or adopted and that will come out and tell their story and encourage other foster and adopted kids. Hey, we know you're in this situation right now, but look at my life and look how I was able to overcome these obstacles, and you can do the same thing. We have a Strive for Success Academy, where that is an initiative that's strictly focusing on increasing graduation rates for foster and adopted kids. Like we mentioned earlier, they get free tuition. So in my mind, how are only 2.5% actually finishing a 4-year institution? That's the issue. So what we're doing is partnering with universities and community college trade schools to help educate those kids and empower them to further their education in order to be successful.
So what other ways can we help you if the individual is not, they don't have the opportunity really quickly to foster or adopt a child? How can I get involved and help?
With our events, if you would like to volunteer, you can definitely reach out to me, Dewan Clayborn. My email is Dewan, DEWAN, @forfam.org. And I'll definitely be excited to add you to our volunteer list. When we do backpack drives, when we do toy drives, when we have events where we feed to go out and bring food to the foster kids, we do need a lot of volunteers. So please reach out. Any help is definitely appreciated.
Dewan, thank you for everything that you're doing for our youth and family in Houston and in Texas as a whole. We appreciate the big heart that you have, because there's so many needy families and children out there. So thanks for everything that you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks for helping me bring more exposure around this issue.
For more information about Houston Community College, please visit our website. For It's Your Business, I'm your host, Veronica Douglas. you.